Also, that breaking news links us straight to Joy News Desk. My name is Kwesi Emmanuel, and Nathaniel Actor is still here because we would want to talk about the re-election of Kwesi Nyantakyi as GFA president, and it means that he's going to be opposed for the next 4 years. Now, Nathaniel, what does this mean for the football fraternity?
Well, it's just it's just a continuation of their belief in the ideas that Kwesi Nyantakyi has had all this while. Because what has happened over the period is that Kwesi Nyantakyi has built a certain constituency around him, which is obviously the delegates who vote. We're talking about the regional FA chairman, the club representatives, the representatives from the Division 1 league. Clearly, he has a certain amount of goodwill which is going for him. The reason why nobody is coming up to contest him. Interesting thing that happened ahead of this election obviously was that threat of legal action and everything. Lawyer Kwesi at least gave proof that he is a bit of a serious person, because in the last 2 elections we've seen 1 or 2 people come up and crumble, aside the likes of Vincent Suaudote and of course current Kumasi Mayor Kojo Bonsu, who came up and did the right thing to put themselves up for election. So clearly he has a team around him who believe in his ideas, who want to go forward.
But the man went unopposed.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily reflect the love or the goodwill, like you say, he has on the ground.
Obviously, because you see, if you don't have the goodwill, then clearly, the fraternity themselves will start pushing someone, okay? Because and this is how sometimes when certain, maybe a coach or a former player is doing well, these things beckon him, okay? The whole fraternity identifies that this person is there, this person can probably lead the FA and take Ghana football to another level of development. And then they start approaching him, and then his name is put out. But in this case, we saw a certain Ofebia Ramatu. She came up. We didn't really see her make any headway with the nomination procedure. We also saw lawyer John Kwesi, who said that he was going to contest, but eventually had to pursue the legal action so that he could put a hold on the process. So all of these names came up, but eventually they were not able to get the 10 signatures required to get them to even finish filling their nomination form. So what's the big deal?
Well,
so what I'm saying
one
is,
could argue that those were deliberate attempts to try and make Kwesi go unopposed.
Okay, but truth of the matter is also that if you are somebody who really has the numbers and really has people backing you, then if you have 5 days, it should be enough time to collect the signatures. That is another part of the argument that we also need to look at. You understand me? Yes, of course. It is valid. Somebody can come and prove that a certain system has been created to gag certain people who have divergent opinion from that of what is going for Nyantakyi. You understand me? But at the end of the day, there's also the opposite side, which we also need to consider.
Well, when we went there moments ago, he was talking about some of the things he was looking forward to do in the next 4 years as GFA president. Take us through what he was saying.
Well, key among them was the issue about the league. And this is one of the things, all the criticisms that have been leveled against his administration for years now. We've seen a certain steady decline of the numbers in our stands in the leagues. And of course, the clubs have never ever been able to benefit from gate proceeds for a very long time. Some of the smaller clubs who have smaller stadia outside of the major cities are able to get something little out of gate proceeds. But at the end of the day, we're not seeing that excitement on the part of the fans. And the criticism is that the FA is not doing enough to put the league out there. Yes, there is super sport, but at the end of the day, here at home, there's not enough effort being made to push the league and make sure that and he's saying that he wants to adopt new marketing strategies. So in the course of time, obviously for us in the media would want to push Kwesi Nyantakyi to give us a proper comprehensive plan as to how he's going to go about this and what exactly is going to be done. Place timelines on them, and then we can ask the necessary questions.
Absolutely. Let's go back to Tamale. Kwesi Nyantakyi is still speaking to members of the press. We'll come back to this conversation here. Don't go away.
Should be swept under the carpet. Corruption is not a good thing. Governments all over the world, private sector, civil society organizations, everybody is talking about corruption, and we are also against corruption. But once it remains a perception, it will continue like that. until the necessary evidence is adduced and the law is asked to take its course. On reforms, FIFA is currently going through reforms. FIFA is currently going through reforms. And I think the next FIFA Executive Committee meeting in September or so will consider elaborate provisions for reform. The Football Association is also continually undergoing reform, because the only thing constant about every human organization is change. Change is the only thing constant. Every other thing is variable. So we welcome any changes that will improve our association and make it more efficient. Regarding specific reforms like term limits, I have no objection about it. The FIFA Congress in Sao Paulo considered it, FIFA Congress in Zurich considered it, and it was rejected. But this time around, most people are seeing the need to reintroduce that. And I will lead the crusade or the campaign for such reforms to be introduced at FIFA, CAF, and even at our national association level. So when the time comes, we are amenable to reform. What's the relationship between coast football and the academy? Academy football is of recent origin, especially in Africa. We used not to have academies here, but that is the way to develop football now. If we want to make any meaningful impact in the development of your game, you must resort to academies. The Germans did it after 1998 when they got kicked out at the Euro semi-finals. They resorted to establishing academies. And from 2000 up to 2010, we saw the impact of the academic system in Germany. And we also saw what it did in Germany, in Brazil 2014. Most African countries, including Ghana, may not be able to do wholesale academic football as is done in Europe, because it involves a lot of money. They spend several billions of euros to do that. It's easy for anyone to say Black Stars go to the World Cup and do well, but it's difficult for us to say let's sacrifice and put this amount of money in the Black Stars. Nobody's ready to do that. But if you don't invest, you don't reap. In Ghana, the coast soccer has become the order of the day. It is a management system for youth football at a very informal level. We don't keep players in schools. We don't keep them in dormitories. They play on a non-residential basis, and it's even voluntary, you know. But we must pay more attention, and if we have the resources and are able to convert all these informal football structures into academies, you will see the benefits that the country will reap from that.
Well, in the course of this broadcast, we'll go back to Tamale. Ridwan Asante is a man on the ground there for us, and we'll find out what some of these delegates who took part in the election are feeling, how they feel about the re-election. But let me find out from Nathaniel. Nathaniel is Joy Sports editor, and really, we've had a lot of questions raised about Kwesi Nyantakyi moving on to becoming, retaining his seat as GFA president. We've had people who've raised questions of unaccountability in that area. For you, as a sports person, is this a good thing for the football fraternity?
We're all entitled to our questions. We're all entitled to you know, raise our eyebrows. But you raise your eyebrows with a certain, from a point of view of information. You need to have information. So if you say that somebody is not being accountable, what is the person not accounting for? You know, I think that sometimes we all try to sing along the choruses. They are corrupt, they are doing X, they are doing Y. Bring up the evidence and then we can push. You understand me? But if you go to the FA and you keep saying that they are, this person is being corrupt, he's being corrupt.
How long has he been in office as GFA?
Since 2005.
That's a really long time.
Yes,
so we're looking at 14 years.
This is not novelty. This is not novelty. This happens all over the world. When you look at the structure of FIFA, you look at the structure of CAF, all the people around, you know, all of these organizations and the national associations all over the world, it happens. It's a regular thing that happens with sports administration around the world. So, I mean, look at Sepp Blatter. I mean, one of the campaigners, one of the aspirants for the top job of FIFA, who's coming from South Korea, he said yesterday that he thinks that the man has been there for a lifetime.
Is it? That's not to say it's okay for one person to be in.
That is what the football people want.
That is what the football.
If they don't want him, they'll vote him out.
Nathaniel, we'll leave it here. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Nathaniel Atto is Joy Sports editor, and we've been talking about the Kwesi Nyantakyi, who's been maintained as or retained as GFA president. We'll bring you more in this broadcast during the sports segment with George Addo Jr. There's more to come here on Joy News Desk. Don't go away.